Amazing. So as Amanda mentioned, I'm Jennifer. I was born and raised in Syracuse, and I started off my career in a non-technical role in logistics in Syracuse. And I learned how to code, and specifically learning a lot about data analytics to become better at my job. So in logistics, it's a really fragmented industry, and it's very inefficient. And so I was just trying to find ways to just be better at my job. Just like first, being able to provide good data to our customers, but also second, just being a lot faster. If you ever worked in logistics, you have to be really fast. Like every minute counts because it's such a fast-paced industry. And so I really had to like learn how to be better. And I use the power of code in order to really enhance my career. And just really a great example of just enhancing any career. With that, because I was trying to learn how to code, I attended local tech meetups and hackathons, and really just taught myself how to code. So some of you, I've heard that you guys are doing a boot camp, just like attending these meetups to learn. It's a really great way to learn about different types of technologies and just get exposure, even if you're not working deeply in the tech field or just starting out. So after that, I then got my first junior developer job in Syracuse. And overall, the junior developer role didn't end up really well because what happened was the company really did need like more of a senior developer. And I think this is like the one challenge that a lot of companies, just not in Syracuse, but in any company overall, is they like the idea of having someone like the idea of having a junior developer, but in reality, they want a senior developer who can build something like very fast as well. They don't need any mentorship. So the challenge that I had was a lot of companies in reality needed a senior developer. Not really to deter anyone. I think that, example for myself, that I was able to use a lot of my skills to do a lot of different things. But this is just like something that I had dealt with like early on in my career. And so with that, instead of kind of going back into the workforce and again having these challenges with employers, just kind of having these expectations, I use coding and my operations skills while working at logistics to build a business. And what I ended up building was this platform called Mintgate. I'm one of the 5 co-founders, which is actually a bigger team than most startups. And what we do is we create something called token-gated non-fungible tokens, or NFTs. And what that means is these are blockchain tokens that act as tickets or keys or access passes to digital content. So just think of, hey, like you create this token on the blockchain, and then you can use this token on the blockchain to then get access to a video, audio, book, whatever digital content you can think of. And how I created Mintgate was very similar to a lot of, it sounds like, a lot of you guys are also going, like attending virtual meetups. We actually all started during COVID back in June of 2020. And I joined like a virtual hackathon and met some of my co-founders there just by, someone had a really good idea. I talked to them about the idea and they seemed like, that person seemed like, what they were doing. So they ended up being one of my co-founders. And then after that, so then we brought a team of 4, so 3 other people that were interested in this idea. And then we just formed this team of 5. We're actually luckily very good skill sets. We had one very senior web developer. I was kind of more of a junior developer that had a lot of experience with SQL. So I was really good. I could have been really good from the back end. And then I had one designer / front end, one that was focused on blockchain development, another person who was focused on biz dev. So we actually had the perfect team that came together and had the perfect skills. And after that, we applied to a virtual accelerator program. An accelerator program is a program that helps people accelerate or build their businesses early on. So what the accelerator program provided us were these sessions about how to fundraise, how to get product market fit. It's really and also it helped us get connections to investors. And it was just a really great program for anyone who has never built a business before, especially a venture-backed business, to learn about how to build one and then get connections to, you know, get the funding. So yeah, like that was a amazing experience for us. And then after, we then incorporated, actually became a company back in November of 2020. And ever since, we've worked remotely because, you know, we met together, like through a virtual hackathon, did a virtual accelerator program, and I did like all this, you know, while I was in Syracuse, which is really great. I've heard a lot of you guys are, you know, from not like the biggest, like not like the biggest cities, not from New York or LA, but, you know, some smaller to, I would say, like medium-sized cities, or like, wouldn't say like first tier bigger cities. And what's really great about building a startup in a smaller to mid-sized city is low cost of living. You can really keep your expenses overall low, like your payroll low, because the goal of a startup is to use the least amount of money as possible. So if your founders can keep your expenses low, that's a big plus. There's actually low business costs. So we actually have our legal counsel and accountant is actually based in Syracuse, and they cost a lot less than like a legal counsel or accountant based in New York. But we really lucked out because they had experience working with bigger clients. So they had the same experience as someone based in New York, but they actually were based in Syracuse and were charging a lot less. And you're really close to other cities. Definitely find those cities where they're close to other cities where you can travel to them a lot. So what's great about Syracuse is like close to other like smaller cities like Rochester, Albany, Buffalo, but also you want like a big experience, you can go to like Toronto or New York for a weekend. And I would say like invest, but definitely have investors, co-founders, advisors, and like founder friends from other cities, because it really can give you a fresh perspective. One of the challenges of working in like a smaller city is like you might not have other people who know much about like VC backed like startups. And it's really good to just so have like friends outside of that area that really do know like about some of the challenges that you're facing. Because really the best data that you can have before, I guess, like this is for actually even having like numeric data is learning from previous experiences of other founders. For example, one of the other founders had mentioned to us, like, don't focus so much on like the operational legal setup, because what you like just have like the basis, or like just follow what everyone else has done, like create a Delaware C Corp, but like focus more on your product. So that in itself, like just like knowing like what have people have done in the past and like what has worked for them can really like inspire you to know like what could work for your business. So that's the first point. The best data is to learn from other people's past experiences. But actually, when we look at numeric data, how did I know what to build? And when to actually use data and when to not use data. So in this section, I'm going to probably go through like a lot more demos on like our like the tools that we use to kind of track our metrics. So first, I would say like, do not always utilize market research. And what I mean by that is utilize your past experiences and listen to the problems that people face. I think that a lot when people like try to build a business, especially if it's like a startup business that's going to scale, they want to build a like they want to like take a look at what's out there in the market and just build something that is just a little bit better, or just based on like what challenges that people have with those products already. But when you're building a startup, you're building something a lot of times, especially like if it's in blockchain, you're building something completely new. And because it's completely new, you don't really always have market research to back up what you're trying to do. So for example, we were trying to do token gated NFTs. And if you were at that point in July of 2020, if you were to search token gated NFTs in Google, like you would get 0 results. So what we ended up doing was think about like the issues that we're solving, right? With token gated NFTs, we're solving 3 core issues. First, the first issue is creators wanted more ownership of their content and monetization. By using the blockchain, you could then, by using the blockchain, anything that is on the blockchain no one can ever take away from you. It's like going to be there forever. So unlike if you were to post something on YouTube, right? YouTube could say that, hey, we don't like this video, we're going to take this down, and they can just remove it from their database, like their Postgres database or any SQL database. But with the blockchain, if you like upload content to the blockchain, no one can ever delete it again because a blockchain is a continuous ledger that cannot be changed. So that's why the value of using the blockchain in the first place. Second was creators want to protect their content. One of the biggest challenges that creators have is like once they sell their content, someone can then just reshare their content like anywhere. So how many times have I'm sure like you got one of you have a Netflix account and then you've shared your email and your password to other people in your family. Or you have bought some sort of content and you've seen it being reposted on YouTube. Great example is there's a movie that was out on DVD. You could buy the DVD, but instead you download it using like BitTorrent or whatever. So like that happens, so they wanted a better way to protect their content. And what's great about a blockchain token as an access pass is it's very hard for you to like share a blockchain token with someone else because like transaction fee associated, and only one person can have like that one like digital wallet that owns that like NFT at a certain time. And so fans wanted, and also during COVID, fans wanted a more unique and interesting digital content. And with that, it's pretty common now to send your content through any digital space like Patreon, and like that's not very interesting now, right? But if you were to get like this NFT that you can claim that is like you can always own and that you can also resell and get like royalties from it, that's really interesting. So NFTs kind of gave people it was like a unique digital experience that people could one, they can interact with the blockchain, but two, they can just resell these NFTs that are immutable or keys to certain content. And like, even though like we didn't use like market research, the one thing that we really did have to research was what are other platforms using, because Web3 and blockchain moves extremely fast. In like a new emerging field like blockchain, the tech stack changes constantly because people are coming up with new, better tools to build on the blockchain. And so something that we might have built 3 months ago using a specific tech stack might not be the best tech stack for us to utilize. I'll give you an example. For example, you can create an NFT, right? One thing that we did was, we create a smart contract on the blockchain, and then someone can then use their digital wallet to create an NFT token. That actually is not the best user flow, because that really, the user really does need to have like all the right setup in order to do that. But what we ended up finding was initially that was an okay user flow, and like that was the user flow that all the platforms were utilizing. But then 3 months later, a whole bunch of other like providers were developing these APIs where a user can just interact with that API without really knowing like you're doing it on your back end, and then you mint for them, and then you just send them the NFT. So very frictionless. With that, yeah, we had to like constantly just take a look at what other platforms were utilizing as their tech stack in order to be competitive in the space. So market research, not to like ask people what the solution could be, because blockchain is still pretty new, but like how we could build. But once you build, you need to monitor your data. And this is like the bulk of where I'm going to talk about like what data tools we do use at our company, and also like where most of the demos will be. So our product now is a website where you can create a non-fungible token on the Polygon blockchain, where you can set up a token gated content behind that NFT. So kind of just walk you through it, you would just go into our website, and then you could say, hey, I want to create this NFT. And then behind that NFT, I want to gate it with this video, audio, or PDF. And as a platform, we need to monitor these 4 areas, these 3 core areas, but there's a 4th one that I'll talk about. The first one is website traffic. How many people are actually coming to the Mintgate.io site? The second is NFT creation. How many people are actually creating the NFTs? And third, how many people are accessing the token gated content? So what I mean is, like, when someone actually buys an NFT, after that, do they actually go through and access the token gated content? If they do, like, how many times? How many people are accessing the token gated content? That's all like kind of plays into the metrics of like how are users actually using these NFTs. And the 4th one that I didn't list here, but I think is very unique to the blockchain and the blockchain community, is community. Like, how fast is your community growing? Because as I mentioned, because Web3 and blockchain is so new, a lot of these new solutions haven't come to fruition, to utility yet. Not a lot of people are using them yet. There are a couple of people who are using them and find them really valuable, but a lot of times people are still just trying to learn what blockchain is. So a lot of times, like, platforms like Mintgate are first an education company to teach people what blockchain is about, and then a product company. So the first, with website traffic, we use Google Analytics and Mixpanel. So we use very more like Web 2 or non-blockchain tools. And I can show you how we use them. Can you still see now? Can you see Google Analytics? Perfect, awesome. So what we do is we connect Google Analytics to 2 places. First, to our app itself. So this is very, very common in blockchain, is there's usually a Webflow page. We create a landing page using Webflow, and then there is like a button that clicks to launch app. And that launch, so the landing page, Webflow landing page, is used to just talk about the high vision of like what our product is and how we're going to solve those issues. Because blockchain again is still not like a fully built out technology, so like our vision hasn't been fully built out yet. We kind of still have an MVP product. And so like that's like the first entry that people have onto our platform. And then the next thing that they would click on is like a launch app button on that Webflow landing page to actually go to our app that is the functional app that you would create the NFTs on. And with that, then we track that. So we track like how many people are just coming to our platform to understand the vision and what blockchain could be utilized for, and how many people are actually using it. It's actually pretty powerful because you'll see that some people are still in this phase of they just want to learn about blockchain and what their use cases, but they're not actually going to utilize it. And the next one that we use is something called Mixpanel. How we actually integrate Mixpanel into our platform is, I wish I can show you Snowkipits, but so we pretty much use like the Mixpanel SDK and then just use their Mixpanel code like on our page, like on our pages. And once someone like actually completes that action, it actually be recorded on here. So for example, one of the reports that we have is, or events. So each happening on Mintgate is considered an event. And for example, here, like in our backend code, I'm more than happy to share you like post event, but not now, where we pretty much have this code that pretty much just says, hey, like once someone accesses a token gated content, then hey, Mixpanel, please log this into your dashboard. So this is what is happening here. This event, which we call TPP server underscore page underscore served, what it means is like whenever a token gated link content is served or is accessed, then it's being logged into Mixpanel. And yeah, like these distinct IDs are wallet addresses of the person who actually like connected their crypto wallet, confirm that they had the NFT, and then is able to access the content. I don't think like the web traffic data is the most important. That's why I'm not like diving into like the code as much or not as interesting, because I haven't dived into the code. I really think that for us as a blockchain company, where the most interesting data is really do the NFT creation. So the blockchain is an open, think of it as an open database. The blockchain is a database that you can never erase. And so anything that someone has done on the blockchain is recorded. So you can really see anything that someone has done. So in this case, what happens is when the event where the user's actually interacting with the blockchain is when they create the blockchain token. So whenever they actually click on create on Mintgate and then authorize their crypto wallet, that's when they're actually interacting with the blockchain. And so what I would like, how you actually see like what's happening on the blockchain is using something what I would call an open ledger. And each blockchain has its own ledger, and where you can put in any crypto wallet address or any like contract address, and be able to see what's happening on the blockchain. So let me give you an example. So in this case, and also like you can also just see what's happening on the blockchain like right now. So for example, this is the latest like data of the latest block. So which is like the latest set of transactions or like interactions with the blockchain. And with that, like what you can do is you can go to like something called Polyscan, which is like the ledger of the Polygon blockchain. But each blockchain has like some sort of scanner. Like for example, Ethereum is one of the most popular blockchains. You can go to like Etherscan. Every blockchain should have some sort of ledger. A lot of times you say, like Google the blockchain's name and then scan, and then you should be able to find it. And with this, what this is saying is like, what this is showing you is like what's actually happening on the blockchain at that moment. So in this case, this is the block. It was validated by this specific validator. Actually, I think one thing that'd be most interesting is if I were to just take one of Mintgate's contract addresses or one of actually my wallet. Let's just say like actually no, my wallet I think would be most interesting. So let's just say you're a user and then you're interacting with the blockchain with your crypto wallet. What you can do is take the identifier of your crypto wallet. In this case, it's an address, and then just pop it into one of these. So in this case, I have a crypto wallet, and the identifier or the address of my crypto wallet is this. And here, what you can do is I just put in my crypto wallet address, and it will actually show me all this data on what I have done on the blockchain. I have 1,000 Matic, which don't think that that's a lot. It's not the amount of Bitcoin. 1,000 Matic is only like one Matic is only $1.38. So I have $1,400 about Matic. It also will show me all the other like tokens that I have. Some of these are legit. Some of these some random person just gave to me. And then here's actually all the transactions or all the times that I have used the blockchain or this Polygon blockchain. And so this is really great. One of the biggest challenges that we actually have in the space is really just kind of understanding what all of this means. Because if you're just taking a look at it, it's just what this means to you, like is if you're new to the blockchain, it might not mean that much. but I know that what this is one day ago, I approved something on the blockchain from this address to from myself to this address. So I'm doing some sort of authorization, and I had to pay this much in the transaction fee to the blockchain, which every single time you're using a blockchain, you have to pay something to the blockchain in order to do this. And so what's really great about this is these scanners is you can also do a CSV download of what is happening with your address or any other address. But I know that it's really hard to go through. What other providers are doing, some of the biggest API providers are doing, is actually querying and indexing this data. So one of my favorite ones is Covalent. Covalent is an API a blockchain API provider that provides blockchain data. That is a lot more organized than what you see on a scanning indexer. So for example, some of the APIs that you have access to is the balance of the tokens of a digital address, historical portfolio value. You can also get information about NFTs. So these are really great. This is a really great API provider. Other API provider that we've used in the past is something called Moralis. Yeah, Moralis is another API provider that provides really great data on the blockchain, but specifically other chains as well, not just only Polygon, even Ethereum. And we actually use this on the production level of Mintgate because we provide our users with data, with data overall about their NFTs. And then one other platform that I really like is something called Dune Analytics. And for anyone who is really familiar with SQL, this is actually you can actually query through blockchain data using SQL. So here, I'll give you some examples of things I've done on Dune Analytics. So for example, here, what I had to do was I did have to put in the contract address of Mintgate, which is the identifier of Mintgate. And then what they did was they actually create a table of all of the data of Mintgate. And I was able to just write a SQL query that queried through all the data. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm truncating by week and getting the sum of the amount from the transfer table. So that is the transfer table is how many times people are trading the tokens from each other. And then I'm grouping it bi-weekly or bi-weekly. And so as a result, I get this awesome data just from knowing SQL, and I get this great bar chart that says, hey, these are the amount of NFTs that people are transferring to each other on this Mintgate collection, which is an old collection, by the way. Our numbers are much higher than this, but this is just an old collection that we had. And I also can create a dashboard so I use create a couple of queries, and then I can create a dashboard of blockchain data content. And you can also play around a lot more as well. So some of the great dashboards that people have made is, for example, I know some people have put in, you can put in pretty much have these parameters where you can put in a certain collection and then just be able to see what sales they have made. So you can play around a lot with Dune Analytics. And then with token gated content, like I mentioned, we use Mixpanel to just track how people are actually accessing the token gated content. I won't show it again because I do want to have some time for questions. But the next thing is community. ultimately in the blockchain, community is like a really big part of product development because blockchain is so new. Like a lot of people are just joining your community just to learn about the blockchain. They're not really there to kind of use your product quite yet, which is quite counterintuitive to like how people have built businesses. But it actually like makes a lot of sense in blockchain because people just want to learn, okay, how does this work? How does token gating work? But I'm not ready to use it quite now. So what we use is we really track like what our users are telling us. For example, we have a Discord where people can join and talk to the co-founders. Kind of wish what I'll do is I'll stop sharing, but I'll just like show it to you guys real quick what Discord does look like if I have it open. Okay, so here's what Discord looks like on our end. So this is think of it similar to like a Slack or Telegram server with different channels. And for example, like one of the things that we do is like people can like give us ideas and then we'll like ask them to like fill out a form. But you can actually like get a lot of statistics from Discord and how your community or how people are interacting with your Discord. So like, for example, if I just look at my server insights, and nearly every blockchain community I know like uses Discord. It has kind of been a de facto like tool that we've been using to like gather community. Is they have server insights into like how people are communicating with us, and it's actually a really important tool to utilize because there are like when you're this early into your business, if you're a VC startup, you might not need like product market fit quite yet, but you do need a community or people who are willing to kind of stand by you as you're building the product and really believe in what you're building. So just like having server insights from Discord would be really valuable. And I'll stop sharing this. I'll go back to sharing the what we learned with social media followers, they're not really great for metrics because it doesn't necessarily show how people are giving you feedback. Some people just like follow platforms just because they want to follow them. Kind of counterintuitive to what I'm saying about community, but community should really be focused on like how they are talking to how they're really like engaging and talking with each other as opposed to just like being able to just follow. Anyone can follow a Twitter and you can get that. You can pay someone to like get that for you, like through ads. But really, the best is just seeing like how people are really engaging with the product itself, like through a Discord or actually through a community. And one thing I would say is like also make sure every team member can access and understand the data. In blockchain, because we have to be so community focused and education focused, that we have a lot of team members who are just really focused on talking to people about the possibilities of blockchain and educating. So our team is not like all devs. So we have to really have a way to help people understand the data. And the tool that we use to do that is actually Metabase. It's a no-code solution where you can create SQL dashboards, drag and drop tables, and then just have dashboards and top level KPIs. So this is only midweek, so that's why everything is down. Like Mintgate is doing well. It's just like everything looks down right now. So this is actually we created this dashboard through a platform called Metabase. And we ultimately, for most of these queries, we're doing them no code. So what we do is we connect our SQL database, which we do have a SQL database. Like you might be thinking, oh, like we're a blockchain company. Why would we need like a SQL database? We do have a SQL database to store some of our data as well, the same data that we have on the blockchain, just in case, because sometimes the blockchain can be down or in times like something like this, right? Like there's not a lot of no code solutions for the blockchain quite yet. As you saw with like Polyscan, it's really hard to kind of understand like what's actually happening on the blockchain if you don't really know much blockchain. But so having a SQL database where we're storing some of this data, like how many people times like people are actually creating NFTs in addition to using like Dune Analytics or an indexer of like to index the blockchain data is really helpful because there's actually just way more tools in the Postgres SQL database world to create data. So with that, what I do here is let's just say like I have a question and with NFTs. I want to know how many NFTs have been minted on Mintgate, just based on like any like the database that we have. So we'll select minting table, and I want to like have the sum of unique count rows, summarized by created time. Okay, I want to get the count of the rows created of the rows in the minting table created every hour. And so this is kind of like a no code. You do need to kind of understand how SQL works to have it effectively. But here's just now a graph that pretty much just shows like how many NFTs are being created on the Mintgate by the hour. And I can save that and just put it in a dashboard where this client success team can take a look at, or the client success team can also create their own charts as well. Awesome. With that, I don't have 10 minutes remaining. I think that I kind of gave like high overview of like the tools that we utilize and like kind of how we formed as a company. But I do want to just give the opportunity for anyone to ask any questions. Yeah, stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Jennifer. That was really awesome. Yeah, so open the floor for questions. Feel free to put in the chat or just unmute yourself and ask your question.
You have a budget for your for the startup, or is there a budget?
Yes, there has for every company that there should be a budget because you definitely want to sustain yourself. How we like calculate the budget is just by seeing what's the amount that everyone has to be paid in order to like survive, plus a little bit more, and then seeing like what our tech costs are as well as our operational financial costs. So we have things as a legal counsel and accountant. In reference, so we had a team of 5 and we fundraised like 1.7 million to work on the project for 2 years. So it can like that's like and also like we have like a lot like of money also like left over because we like we budgeted for certain things that we thought we would needed. But in the blockchain space right now, we're seeing a lot more people like fundraising a lot higher amounts because we're all trying to compete to like build like the biggest, best product. But I think like for this is something that I also like presented in the past about how like how you could like how to like run a company like using crypto. And like actually it's interesting you asked that because there are now platforms where you could put in like a wallet address and you can see things like how much taxes you're going to pay and you know how much you've earned. So when we fundraise for the company, some of our investors did pay us in crypto, and so we use like platforms such as a coin tracker to actually track the amount in crypto, as well as like how the crypto is going up and down.
I'm sorry, that's part one more time. You said a tracker. What was that?
Coin tracker. It's called Coin Tracker. It's a platform where you can put in a digital wallet address, and it will show you the crypto that you have in your wallet, and like if it's going up or down.
Jennifer, to help me get a better sense of, I guess I'm curious, without you having to go into too much detail, but just like generally speaking, the type of customers that you have, like what are their businesses, what are they selling, just to get a sense of the practical use of these NFTs.
Yeah, so we have like all sorts of creators. What we like to think of is anyone can be a creator now that they can utilize token gating. So for example, we have an entrepreneur who is selling content on his thought knowledge by selling an NFT with a video like behind it. Like you need to like own that NFT in order to access the content. But you can think of like a lot of other use cases. So we've talked to event companies. You need to own this event. You need to own this NFT in order to get access to an event. Just think of it as kind of like a more secure way of like distributing tickets. We've also just had like kind of the typical creator that had businesses like were creating content on YouTube or SoundCloud or any digital, musical, or video content, because like they're just trying to find a way to distribute and create content without YouTube or SoundCloud or any of these other platforms like telling them like how they would like telling them for them like they're kind of just thinking like blockchain NFTs as kind of like a new version of Patreon.
What was the last thing you said? A new version of what?
Patreon.
I don't know what that is, but that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, the music industry has had a lot of, I guess, different ways for their model. And so is that a industry that's, I guess, leveraging these blockchain NFTs?
Yes, they're utilizing it a lot, specifically for independent creators. So just one example that we've seen is you need the NFT in order to access any exclusive music video, music track. But the most interesting use case that we've seen is you need to own this NFT in order to get the rights of the track. So you would need to own this NFT, and then you can get access, then you can like own the rights as well. So a lot of people are thinking like NFT or blockchain tokens as a way to help with intellectual property. Even though that hasn't come to full fruition yet, but they're thinking because NFTs are immutable, you can't erase them from the blockchain, you can track them from point A to point B. When you see it's all this data that's out there. They're thinking it can be a way to really track who owns what in the industry.
Thank you. You're muted.
Yeah, Amanda, I can't hear you.
I think you are. Can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you. Even though it's like saying that you're not muted.
Amanda,
It's
maybe
like-
if I unmute mine because it's being weird. I don't know if that'll work. No.
No, we still can't hear you. Yeah, I also shared the slides as well.
Anybody read lips?
No, can't. Or maybe Amanda, you come in, come back. That might be a way. In the meantime, I'll take any more questions,
What about
especially
like
for the data analysts. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
what about like for security like purposes, like, is there any concerns about security people, trying to hack into the site or try to take advantage of your information?
Yeah, so for the site, right? What we definitely try to like be like very secure. So like the site itself is separate from the blockchain, right? A site is just a UI or front end to the blockchain. So someone can't technically hack into the blockchain because like the blockchain is open for anyone to use. But there are some security measures we can take for people who want to utilize like our code to like connect to the blockchain. So when I said something called contract address, what the contract does is it's a Mintgate contract that people can like talk to, right? And then use it to connect to the blockchain. So that in itself, like we make that super secure. A couple of ways that people have made their contracts secure is by going through a security audit. There are actually security experts that will look into your contract code to make sure that you have no security vulnerabilities. Secondly is there are ways for you to make sure that any keys or connections to your wallet is secure by not sharing it around. So there's a couple of ways that you can make it secure, but overall, like as an overall like concept, like the blockchain itself is super secure because like, for example, like Mintgate couldn't create an NFT token, like a blockchain token for someone who didn't authorize us to do that, like at that moment in time. So for example, let's say like you, Chris, created a blockchain token on Mintgate at that moment in time. You said, yes, hey, Mintgate, you can create a blockchain token. That's the only time that Mintgate can create a blockchain token on like you can create a blockchain token on Mintgate. We couldn't go back and say, hey, we're going to create these blockchain tokens for Chris at a later point in time, simply because like that's how secure the blockchain is. You can't even, a website can't even create something on your behalf. Like for example, YouTube could, in their database, they can like put a video under your user profile. We can't even do that because the blockchain doesn't let us mint for you unless you authorize it at that moment. Yeah, so there's no way for us to do that. So the blockchain is super secure because you are the only one that can authorize something happening with your data.
I'm not sure if this is a weird question, but like, what's a 5 to 10-year plan for this idea? Or I'm not sure if that's a valid question or not, but
yeah, I think our vision, going back to the issues that we're solving, we want to build on the premise that we want to create even more create more ownership for creators. We want like NFTs to only be like an OAuth system where you need an NFT to log in to something. It's just a more secure way of handling like logins. And yeah, we just want to just like think of like ways that people can use NFTs to create more interesting content. I think it's like to just know what we want to build for 5 to 10 years, I think is challenging because like blockchain, as I mentioned, like changes a lot. But I think if you like kind of focus on the vision, I think like that's really what's going to help you think like long term. And like anything that's related to those 3 founding core issues that we're trying to solve, I think is game on for what we want to build in the future.
Tasha, I think you're muted.
Same.
Can hear you.
We can hear you now.
Okay, I don't know. I just muted it, unmuted it. I have a quick question of I'm new to this, so do you have competitors, do you know, or is this something that's unique in something that is very new to the industry?
Yeah, the concept of token gating or like
Yes.
yes. So token gating is becoming like more popular in the NFT space. So there's other companies that do token gating, including Unlock Protocol. A lot of NFT platforms might have a token gating feature like on their platform as well.
Okay, thank you.
Amanda, I think you're so muted. You're so muted. Anyone else have any other questions?
There's nothing else. Thanks again, Jennifer, for speaking to the group today. Amanda and I will put our emails in the chat if anyone has like suggestions or ideas or anything like that, or just wants to reach out. We are gonna have a session on the 29th for like a discussion session of data ethics, just in general. So that'll be our next event. But thanks again for joining.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much, guys. And I'll just like post like my email in case anyone wants to reach out, just like talking about any entrepreneurship stuff. But other than that, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Jennifer, thank you.
For having me.
Thanks, Jennifer.